What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner. So, as far as the market's going, we're range bound right now. We have this inverse head and shoulders like pattern. But I just want to say that there's no confirmation of a true direction quite yet. Because when you look at SPY, okay, you want to see us lose 668 to start dipping a lot more. That's going to take us to a more bearish place. But if we want to be bullish, you want to see us hold above, I'd say 674. If we could break that, we have the potential to retest 676 and 678. So for now, we're just kind of like range bound. We pumped a little bit in the morning, then we came back down. Now we're just chopping. And for the most part, the market's just chopping around. So it's not really doing a whole lot. On the 4 hour time frame, we're also trying to see if we can establish a higher low. We're also looking for a double bottom like pattern. So this could technically be bullish, right? This looks like a double bottom that could be forming. But once again, we have to hold above 676 for confirmation. And if we lose 667 on the 4 hour, we're going to be more bearish. So we're in the middle right now. We're still stuck in this consolidation. So I just want to give you guys a warning about why we should be very, very patient. And simultaneously, when options are just trading like this, the option premiums are just not going to be moving as much. And then if we continue to chop around like this is just going to be hurting a lot of premiums. So be very careful with options. There's a lot of chop right now, and we're just waiting for confirmation of a true direction. So I think we're just trading sideways. If SPY loses 668, though, that's going to be a bad sign. We could be dipping a lot more back down to the lows we saw on Friday. But if we could get a bounce, we get back above 674, we're looking for a bigger bounce back up towards 678. Otherwise, we're just in the middle for now. Although SPY is declining a little bit, we're still range bound and the setups still exist. So, for example, on the 30 minutes time frame, we still have this inverse head and shoulders like pattern. We'll see if we bounce or not. So, watch that very closely. Same thing with the QQQ. We have an inverse head and shoulders, but we have not been able to break past 612 to really break out higher, back up towards 618. And we also have not lost 605 or 600 to start dumping. So overall, we're in the middle, at least for the time being. We could retest 605 on the QQQ, but there's no confirmation of a big dump yet. We're just in the middle. So until we break one of our key levels, we're just range bound. So be very careful. For the IWM, the same thing is going on, inverse head and shoulders. If we break 237, we're looking for a big push to 240. But if we end up losing 235, we're looking for a dip back down. For now, we're looking a little bit more bearish, and we could be dipping to 235, so we'll have to see what happens. On ES, we're also looking kind of in the middle. We also have an inverse head and shoulders. We need to break 67, 69 to start pushing back up to 6,800. But if we end up losing 67.25, we could be dumping. So to me, it looks like we're just range bound. We're stuck in the middle between these key levels. So until we break one of these levels, we're waiting for our direction. The inverse head and shoulders like setup is still there, which could still favor a bounce for the end of the day. So we'll see if we end up holding our key levels or not. So watch them very closely. Same thing with NQ. The inverse head and shoulders is still here unless we end up losing 25,000. Also, I want to see this reclaim like 25,322 to really break out higher. We're just range bound for now, so we'll just have to see what happens. On Bitcoin, we have a nice double bottom right here. If we end up losing basically 93,500, we're looking for a dump. If we end up reclaiming 95,000, we're looking for a big bounce. So we're still stuck in the middle, and we're going to see if we rebound or not. I think that we have a nice support right here at 93,500. We're going to see if we bounce or not. So give this the time it needs. There is a double bottom here, and there is potential to bounce if we hold this support. Otherwise, we're just range bound. Now on Tesla, we also have an inverse head and shoulders on Tesla. We did talk about this. We're favoring 421 on Tesla. It's outperforming the market so far. We got some good news. I think Stifel has increased their price target on Tesla to $500. So that's part of why Tesla's doing well alongside other factors. Nvidia, I'd like to see this basically hold 185. If we lose this, we could be dipping towards 182. And I also want to see us reclaim 188 to turn back to bullish. We're in the middle right now for Nvidia, but I want to see if 185 holds. As long as it holds, we could still bounce quite nicely on Nvidia, especially approaching earnings in just a couple of days. Apple's on a bit of a downtrend. We tried to bounce. We need to get back above 268. If not, we could be declining back down to 266. On Palantir, we're technically forming a slanted inverse head and shoulders. I would like to see this bounce, but I want to see us reclaim 173. If we do, we're looking for essentially 177. But if we lose 178, we're looking for a dump. So we are range bound right here between 170 and 173. I think we're going to likely continue to consolidate from here before we see an attempt to bounce. For AMD, we're also range bound. We have a slanted inverse head and shoulders, but there is some weakness in AMD, and we could be retesting 242. So I see some downside risk. On Coinbase, we had an inverse head and shoulders, which were failing so far. So now we're looking for this to retest the lows from Friday. We're going to see if 266 holds. If not, I would not rule out the possibility of 260 flat on Coinbase. Amazon is also failing right now. We need to reclaim 234. If we can't, there is a risk of us declining towards 225. So I do think that Amazon's on a bit of a downtrend, might consolidate before it continues to fall a bit. Meta is showing a little bit of weakness. It's very flat right now, so it's not too bad. It still has an inverse head and shoulders, but I need to see this bounce before testing 600. I don't want to see us lose 600. I want to see us bounce. Hopefully, we get a bounce. Google's going to likely retest 287 then 284 before it attempts to bounce. And Microsoft kind of pumped only to dip back down, so there is a risk of it dipping closer to 500. So with that being said, guys, to me, SPY looks like it's range bound right now. We're going to see if we could hold the main support. As long as we are above 668, we could try to bounce. But if we lose 668, there's going to be more downside risk. Same thing with the QQQ. If we end up losing essentially that 605 and 603 zone, of course, this could be dipping more. But if we hold those levels, there's still potential to rebound. We're still technically in a range. Overall, Tesla's doing very, very well right now. Just want to call this one out. This is holding up quite nicely. And we're going to see what happens as time goes on. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. The overall market is still flat right here. We have not lost any critical support or broken resistance. And we're going to see if these inverse head and shoulders like patterns pan out or not. We've tried so far, but overall, we are still in this range. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.